We have really great sponsors like the East San Gabriel Valley ROPTC, and if you would like to sponsor the program, we will put you on the show. Now for the Morning Buzz.
Well, this morning we have Larry Johnson that's going to be here talking to us a little bit about a sad thing. We had the suicide bombers actually come in Brussels and took out 14 people,
right,
and injured a whole lot of other folks.
Larry's actually here with us. Larry, thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah,
That's
so
great.
this is
Do you think that this was targeting Americans in this?
Well, you know, from what I've been able to gather, there's some evidence that could possibly be it. It was very close to the American Airlines check-in, but there are also other international airlines there in the area. There were several Americans who were killed and several, quite a few injured, and including 2 Dutch citizens who actually lived here in America for the last 14 years. So it was just a terrible catastrophe.
Yeah. Well, and now I guess are the folks here like Trump are talking about, you know, hey, we should shut the borders down, and he's talked about this before when Paris, you know, they had a strike on Paris.
Well,
so.
one of the interesting things to note about the situation in Europe is that a lot of the Arab immigrants have concentrated in their own central ghettos, and those have become enclaves that are difficult for the authorities to penetrate. And in fact, the authorities have generally left them alone. So the reality is that the bad guys were living amongst them, and they had no idea that they were there. They had a sense that they possibly could be.
I think that poses the question too, as far as family members knowing or not knowing, because I think there's been some comments regarding that the families don't necessarily know that their loved one is a terrorist.
Well, they're actually working together now. I mean, the Boston bombers were brothers. These 2 gentlemen were brothers.
Husband and wife.
And that tends to be a pattern that develops. And I guess there's been some psychological analysis that says that this is very understandable, that people who spend a lot of time together and have a deep emotional tie will tend to do things together.
Right. Well, one radicalizes the other.
Right.
That's what they're looking at. Whether the younger is radicalizing the older one or vice versa. So, you know, family plays a big part. You tend to believe family first. So.
Family plays a big part in a basic cultural value system, right? In our Western culture, we value life. We respect life, for the most part. And we look down upon those who don't value life. And if you suddenly have an influx of people from a different culture who have a different perspective, possibly, may not be everyone, but certainly some people. And even in our country, we had a period of quite a bit of time, decades, where we stopped immigration.
You did.
Right, we
with
did.
Eisenhower and made some changes.
Because the sense was people needed to become acculturated and assimilated into our culture.
So what would be wrong with closing down the borders? I'm not saying.
Well,
it's not.
You know, it's a general statement. I think what he's saying is, you know, shutting the borders down is basically, okay, let's take a step back and regroup. Yeah. Let's look at what we have that we're allowing people to come in. I mean, I don't think that they're going to put the barriers down and okay, you guys are done here. Hold on, come back in 2 weeks.
Because we have millions of people who are coming back and forth.
I think one of the things that politicians have a penchant to do is over-exaggerate and use language that may be slightly inflammatory. There's probably a better way to position that, much in the way you did.
Well, you have, and then you have Trump.
No,
I'm not.
The master of the inflammatory phrase.
He speaks before he thinks sometimes, and he goes, "Oh, well, maybe I should."
Well, I think that he's as crazy as a fox. I think that he intends to inflame the situation, because it gets him attention.
Oh yeah.
And I think that Cruz has learned from that.
Oh, he's playing right alongside of him right now.
Yeah, and so if they are talking about you, it's good. Doesn't matter if they're criticizing you; they're talking about you. You're getting press.
You're getting airtime. That's exactly it.
A lot of free stuff.
Absolutely.
That's it. But, you know, I mean, going back to the border, and I mean, what is it that we here as a society can do together to maybe prevent this from coming in?
Well, I think there are a number of things. I think recognizing that who the enemy is, and that we need to be more vigilant and less politically correct. We need to be aware. New York had a program of that many people are poo-pooing today that lasted for many years, and I think kept New York safe, and that was to have strong surveillance in certain ethnic communities.
Well, I mean, London alone, there isn't 1 square inch that you're not on TV in downtown London.
Well, and that's kind of interesting too. So ISIS has been hitting a variety of countries. What is your prediction as far as, I mean, I don't think we want to predict another country being bombed, but who would you think is vulnerable?
Oh, I think we are top on the target list. Everything. ISIS is an ideology, right? And it's an ideology against anything that is different from their ideology. And we represent the ultimate in what they abhor, our freedoms. Right. There was a story recently that I guess there was a religious figure who was captured, and ISIS said that they were going to crucify him today.
Well, that little bell actually indicates that we are out of time. Will you come back for our next Morning Buzz?
I sure would. I enjoyed it. Thank you.
Larry Johnson, thank you very much for being with us. And up next we have an idea for you, very easy idea, how to become a millionaire.
Right. Financial planner Steve Huntley will be with us coming up next.